Welcome back to the SHEThrives Influential Women podcast. I am your host, Lori Murphy, and I am an empowerment coach for women. For many of you that are new to the podcast, I wanted to share with you a little bit about who I am. I am a recovering alcoholic with almost 13 years sober, and my journey in recovery and healing led me down a path of self-discovery, self-love, and it led me to hear my calling to help other women, to guide them through their journeys in personal growth and development, health and wellness, all sorts of different areas. I'm certified as a holistic health and wellness coach through the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, as well as a certified transformation life coach through the Transformation Academy. And it is my passion and my mission to be able to empower women in all areas of their life so that they can believe in themselves and have that confidence to do whatever it is that they want and live to their fullest potential. And the purpose of this podcast is to not only bring my story into light, but to be able to bring other women who share their stories and their influence and how they made it through their struggles and to become who they are today. And I am honored to bring on my latest guest, Ellen Butterflyy Allen. She is amazing. So a little bit about Ellen. I have her bio here. She is a multifaceted career spanning with 20 plus years of experience navigating several creative domains. Ellen Butterflyy Allen is a 10-time published author celebrated for weaving captivating narratives across various genres. As a writing coach, Butterflyy empowers aspiring writers to find their unique voice and refine their craft. Her talent extends to the stage as a playwright. Beyond the written word, Butterflyy is a culinary artist, delighting taste buds with innovative dishes as a chef, an encouraging speaker that captivates audiences. Her blogging ventures is a treasure and trove of insights, blending expertise from all her creative pursuits, life lessons, and research. As a creator of her own one-woman show and her annual relationship symposium, Ellen has no intent on letting her creativity simmer, excuse me, with her children's book, Baby Boys Are Born. Brilliant. Her ability to educate across many audiences. She warmly welcomes you to experience some of or all of her unique talents and gifts. She is for hire. Hi, Ellen. How are you this morning?
Hello, beautiful. I am wonderful. And you look amazing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you
Mhm.
so much. Not bad for getting up at around 4:30 this morning.
I-
And
Not bad
you,
at all.
you
Not bad at
radiate.
all.
You are from Memphis, so you are an hour behind me. So,
Yeah.
this woman, she always looks fabulous. She's got the greatest hair. And we were just talking a little bit before the episode started about that beautiful background. Want to share a little bit about that because I think everyone should hear this story.
Well, this is from 2017. My girlfriend put together a soiree, Butterfly's 40. It was my 47th birthday. So it was yeah, oh, that's almost 10 years ago. Hold on. But anyway, it was a blank canvas, and all of my friends and all of the people that attended the event came and they put something on there for me to remind them. And so I know every signature, every staple, the way they put it, I know who was there. So it's a kind and warm reminder every day of the friendship and the power and the networking that I built, that people thought enough of me to come and to share this particular occasion.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I loved when you were telling me about that. And I was like, I want other people to hear about
And
this
they
too,
have,
because
I have
it's
all kind of
such an
stuff.
amazing thing to have.
Yeah, the thing is too, like I have streets on here. So I have a friend, his name is Jada Street. I have right here, I have a friend who's an artist. He did a picture of me. My best friend who gave the party, she's Sunshine. and I'm Butterfly. So I know everything. Some people have hearts, blue heart. I have a friend that's blue aces. So yeah, everything is great over here.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love it. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Ellen. Tell us about who you are, how you got to where you are today.
Well, I am, first of all, I'm a mother. That's my greatest joy, greatest accomplishment. And then grandmother, but I'm also an only child, so I have a great mother. I don't know exactly how I got here, but I always knew that I would be a creative. When I got to middle school, I joined drama and the newspaper. I was always into hands-on activities.
Hmm.
And then when I got to a high school, I kind of drifted off, but I always loved English. I was a wordsmith for my time,
Hmm.
and words have always been one of those things that I wanted to know more about. Even now, as a grown folk, if somebody asks me to go on a date, you know what I always say, let's go outside. And for the date, I always want a picnic. We get outside and I take out a dictionary for him and I take out a dictionary for me. And he's like, what are we doing? I said, um, I want to look up words. Tell me what words you want me to look up and find the definition. I'll tell you a word. Or if I say something and you don't know what the word is, then I'll be like, oh, let's look it up in the dictionary. So I may not have a lot of dates, but the ones that I have, they enjoyed it because they're like, oh, she has a dictionary for a date. Wait a minute.
That's different. I don't think there's a lot of people that do that. I think that's great.
Yeah.
It actually I think brings a lot of interest or like interesting factors to the date, right? Like it kind of
Yes.
opens a door of really
Yes.
just getting to know a person and if they really connect with you, right?
Connect. Exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
are they going to take the same interest as you? Like, are they going to
Right.
get like, what's this for? And like, I'm good.
Right. Because as human nature that we date and we want outcomes from those dates sometimes, commitments or whatever. But if you can sit down with a person and do something that's educational and informative and entertaining, because you're on a picnic, so you're outside, you're having fun, you're knocking out kind of at least three, four of your love languages at one
Hmm.
time. And that may be the person for you, and they may not be the person for you. But at the end of the day, you still have gotten something out of it, and you've given somebody something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. I love that outlook. Now,
Yes.
was that something that you used to do as a child, is dive into the dictionary whenever you had an opportunity to, or when did you become
Well,
interested in that?
as an only child, was always just me and my mother. We traveled a lot. We traveled extensively. So summer vacations, school breaks, we were always a different place.
Hmm.
So I wasn't always in a dictionary, but I was always into culture and the uniqueness of different things. My mom made sure that I got that exploration into my life. And
Hmm.
so as I began to do that and I got older, I learned to appreciate how powerful your words can be. And when you associate words with different cultures and different areas and different attractions, it makes it all the more meaningful.
Hmm.
So that's how, but I've always had a vivid imagination from my very first book. My grandfather said he remembered me being 3. And I came inside and I had something in my hand. And I said, well, I got something for you. I got something for you. And I opened my hand. He said it was a handful of maggots. I had went somewhere and got a trash can. And he said, why is this little girl so creative and colorful? So I think since childhood, people always knew that I would be creative, bright, informative. And so it translated into words, and those words translated into me writing books. And what, 13, 14 years later, uh, I've continually been in the book business.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy writing a lot when you were young and
I loved writing. And like I said, I was an only child. So when we never watched TV. People used to always say, what's this? I didn't know what TV was. We had TVs in the house, but I didn't watch TV. I was a
hmm
writer. And if I didn't write, me and my mom, we have conversation, dinner. Then I go into my room and I write. I was one of those people. I think I was 33 when I learned what music was. Because I didn't listen to music either. I wasn't a music. So when people say, "Oh, you don't know this person," I'm like, "No, I'm not familiar with it." But I
Hmm.
always was familiar with writing, and writing was my safe space. And I don't even know where it developed from. But I attributed being the only child. I didn't have anybody in the house to talk to as far as, youthful, my vibes and my thoughts and what I would be and how I would be. So I would make up stories. That's the only conclusion I can draw from where my love of words really came from.
Right.
Yeah.
That's amazing. It's probably, I think, extremely beneficial that you didn't have the distraction of TV because you kind of were in a way forced to have to um, do something valuable with your time, right? So why not educate yourself with, reading and filling your mind full of that knowledge and connection to words. And I think that that's amazing because even today, like you hear that like taking that time to sit there and watch TV more or less is like, I think depleting your brain, right? Like, you
You got
know.
to realize it's putting other people's thoughts and ideas into your brain. That's just like me when I'm in the middle of writing a novel. I don't read other people's things, and I'm still not a TV person till this day. All these different series, people's like, "Oh, this power and this and that." I'm like, "Well, and who are these people?" I do not know anything as far as the modern stuff goes with these TVs, or I call them soap operas. I say because they remind me of like growing up. I see my aunts and my aunts, my grandmother watch soap operas. So to me, that's the same thing as a soap opera. You got to come back for the next scene, come back for, and that's just like too much time that I would have to devote to that. Or even like you say, when people go and say, "Oh, I'm about to binge watch." I do not binge watch. If I'm binging, it's on the computer and I'm typing out words. Because
Hmm.
by the time I didn't watch 30 minutes of something, I can eke out 5 to 7,000 words. Because that's what I do. I, I love words. So I
Hmm.
know in 30 minutes I can eke out 5 to 7,000 words. And then in the next 30 minutes, I can go and clean them up and still wind up with 4,000 valuable words that I can put into something.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love I love the silence. Like I love being quiet, right? Like my husband will come home from work and I'll be sitting there, TV off, and he's like, "How do you sit here in silence?" And the part of it is so that I can be connected to my own thoughts, so that I can be able to hear what what needs to flow through me, right? Like the creativity, the ideas. I get very distracted by noise, so I prefer to be have silence more than anything, right? And I think that I get the best ideas when there's no distraction, when I can hear, God putting those that fueling me through, what the next step is and what I need to do for myself next, right? As far as even if it's with my own personal health or being creative, for the
Yes.
growth of my business, for my clients. I mean, I have a plethora of ideas, right?
Mhm.
And I need to be able to connect with them, to be able to
Yeah.
create them. And so there's so much value in not having that distraction, I
Yep, I
think.
understand it. I understand it fully and I appreciate it. I appreciate, like speaking with you, another creative who have that same thing. Because some creatives say, "Oh, I can create in this a thunder, the concrete drilling outside." Nah, if it's that kind of construction going on, it's hard for me to focus. So yeah,
Mhm.
it's nice. I'm a outside girl, but I'm outside early in the morning in the park, birds chirping. I could throw out a blanket. That's a good thing for me too. People, when they
Yes.
first met me, they was like, "Wow, go to the park by themselves and throw a blanket out." Me, I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I am like, I love my early mornings going for walks. Like up at our camp, I'll go for walks and I'll disappear for like an hour and just go enjoy the sound of the birds and nature. And, here in Green Island where I live, we have a little park and there have been times where I've just gone and I've just sat on a bench and just watched the river flow and just kind of you know, enjoy just connecting with
Yes.
with the spirituality side of me, with the creative side of me, with just being able to not even think if I don't want to, just to be able to shut the mind off, and be completely at peace. I think that that's awesome. And I love that we kind of share some of that, in common. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah, and
sure,
I got a great idea about it too. So we'll talk about it later. I'm gonna
yes,
drop it in your inbox.
I think that you should, because I really am curious now. And I think so. Would you say that your journey in the creativity, as far as writing goes, has also helped you find your voice? Because you're a
Yes,
speaker too.
I am. I am. Yes, my journey to writing as a professional, in order to, I never thought about writing for monetary gain. My journey to writing started out of a dark place that I was in.
Mm.
So when I couldn't speak, when I had no voice, my pen and paper became my best friend. My paper caught so many tears. And when those tears are dried up, I had a book. I had a completed work. And so when I speak about it, sometimes forgive me if I get sound like I'm getting emotional, my voice is cracking because that's what happened. The paper caught my tears as I wrote my first book, An Addict Struggle to Let Go.
Mm.
And in writing that, when I finished, I was like, oh, this might could help somebody because I couldn't see the forest for the trees, as they say. When you're in a dark place and you're going through it and your voice shuts down. And I always speak about how my voice shut down because I don't know if I was embarrassed, ashamed, scared, fear. Oh, but I know all of those things, disappointment, grief, all of those things will silence you in ways that nobody else will know because it's so personal. Your
Right.
silence sometimes is so personal because if you speak it out into the atmosphere, nobody will understand. The first thing
Hmm.
they'll say is, or why you stayed so long, or why you didn't say something, or why you didn't this. People are really in a judgmental state. And so I found that writing eliminated that space between me, judgment, and healing.
Hmm.
Right. So
Yes.
here I am. I didn't want to be judged, but I knew I needed to heal because I needed to come up on the opposite side of that dark place that I was in.
Hmm.
And so that's how I began to live when I began to speak, which is my business that I created in 2011, along with the book, Breaking the Silence Through Literature, is my way to help others get their voice back. And so that's what I use. I use my voice to help others get their voice. And then once we use our voices, we can do it for journaling, we can do it for a book, we can do it for just for our own peace and our own sanity. You know what I'm saying? We
Hmm.
don't have it don't have to be go on and go on and go on. But I teach that once you learn how to use your voice, that you should use it for something greater to help someone else. That way you won't get silenced again because now you have a reason to steady be vocal about your recovery, your triumph, your transformation, your empowerment, right?
Yeah.
And so that's who I am as a writing coach, but it's also who I am as a human being, as a living, thriving woman,
Hmm.
right? Because there's so many times that not that men don't, but women, we as women, we tend to lose our voice easily
We
because
do.
our heart is involved. And when
Yes.
your heart involved in it, man, look, when our heart involved in it, it's harder
Yes.
because we have to take that nurturing side of us out, and we can't. That's a part of who we are as females, you
Yes.
know.
It's just
Yeah.
something that's naturally for us,
Yes.
and I can say that, I've had many experiences where I feel like I've lost my voice because my heart was involved, and I've stayed silent. So, and I think that when we find our voice again and we're able to share our story, there's
Mm.
so much power in that. And it's empowering for other women to see that.
Yes. It's empowering, it's peaceful, it's liberating. We got so many things that we can use to talk about when we revive our voices. And that's what I do through my voice revival course. We revive our voices. Not only I do that, but I have at the end of it, I do a mock event, or I
Mm-hmm.
encourage my ladies to put on a private event, for friends and family, and host an event and talk about your story there. Start within your circle so that now your circle know that you are healed. You
Mm-hmm.
are back from where you were, you know.
Yes.
And sometimes it could be our own selves, Lori. We can't always say somebody silence me. Sometimes we just silence ourselves
Yes.
because we don't think we're worthy, or we don't think what we
Yes.
have to say is of importance. So we silence ourselves, and that's also a problem. But I tell people all the time, on the other side of healing
Mm-hmm.
is to be healed, right? On
Mm-hmm.
the other side of healing is to be healed. Once we are healed, then we can no longer be hurt by that again.
Mm-hmm.
Because now if it comes our way, we're like, oh, okay, wait a minute. This looks familiar and I know what to do so we can stop it in its tracks,
Mm-hmm.
I love being able to stop and like, because I am a recovering codependent in relationship wise.
Yep.
So if I could, for a minute, I don't know if you're familiar with codependency, but I became a codependent in my marriage where I was married to someone who was addicted to drugs. His addiction to drugs made me feel like I had to save him,
Mm-hmm.
made me feel like I had to stick by him no matter what, made me feel like I didn't have nothing without him because without him, I felt like I was going to be unloved. So I had to try and fix him. And in the process of that, I became an enabler. Me becoming an enabler made me codependent
Mm-hmm.
because I just could not get the thing that I can't fix him.
Right.
I couldn't get that through my head, so I was steady breaking myself.
Yeah.
It was horrible. It was horrible, but that's how my first book came about. And like you said, I'm thankful for words. Words helped me come out of my silence, and so I I always tell people I've been there, baby girl. I may not have been in the same shoes you've been in, but that scenario is all too familiar. And
Right.
let me tell you what I did. You may not need everything that I have, and I have a podcast. It's called Life and BS. Take what you need and leave the rest on the floor,
Mm-hmm.
right? Everything that Butterflyy say might not fit what Lori needs. Everything that Lori say may not fit what Butterflyy needs. So we're gonna take bits and pieces from each other because this is a sisterhood, right?
Yep.
We're gonna take bits and pieces from each other, and what we can use, we're gonna use and apply, and what we can't, we're gonna leave that for somebody else because somebody else might be able to use that. So it's
Mm-hmm.
not everything that I say is foolproof, but I'm gonna tell you the way that I got out of it, and hopefully some of those things can help you get out of it too. That's about it.
I love that. You're
That's
amazing.
about it.
It's amazing. It's amazing how in you were able to utilize all of this to get through your own journey. And now here you are utilizing this as a way to help other people. And you and I recently did a 5-day challenge, writing a book in 5 days with our friend Latasha Limerson. And she's amazing. And one of the things that she encourages is daily journaling, because daily journaling, not only is it helping you heal, but that's your book.
It's your book.
That's your book.
It's your book. That's how I wrote my very first book. Yeah.
Was through it's like you, as you mentioned, like your first book was your journey with living with through
Right.
an active addict and the situations that you endured and that codependency. And I
Yes.
think that people don't have a full understanding of what codependency is. Like, I'll give you a perfect example. When I heard what codependency for the very first time, I thought that meant that I was dependent on other people, like financially, like being dependent on a parent as a child. I didn't
Right.
really understand what codependency is. So, if we were to dial in a little bit on that, how would you be able to explain codependency to somebody who's in that place where they're like, I don't really understand if it is or if I am codependent?
Okay. First of all, when I speak, and I speak on codependency, that's my topic because codependency it falls with align with mental health and all of these other things. But the first thing I do, and I go into a room and I tell people, I need you to raise your hand if you're codependent. Two people going to raise their hand. And I'm going to say, you know what? That's not true. We are born into codependency. We born into codependency. But then there's a healthy codependency, and then there's an unhealthy codependency. The healthy codependency is, like you said, a child and a parent, a teacher and a child, a parent and a teacher. You have to be dependent on these different factors in order for you to thrive, in order for you to learn, in order for you to grow, right? So when we have those, then we understand that, then we don't understand that codependency isn't a bad thing, right?
Hmm.
But then as we grow up and we get older and we start getting into relationships and partnerships and situationships, and we're learning how to navigate life,
Hmm.
right? In that navigating of life, if we get to the point where we feel like we can't go on, that we can't function, that we can't be ourselves outside of being connected to someone else, that's
Hmm.
unhealthy.
Yes.
When we're feeling emotionally overwhelmed, when we feel like we need outside validation in order for us to be prosperous, in order for us to be powerful. So those forms of codependency then takes on a mental breakdown of you not knowing your power, your importance, and your purpose. So with that being said, I tell people all the time, just do a test. You can go online and do any test, or you can call me and get my test. My test is kind of, street level test. I'm gonna ask you the real questions. I'm gonna get down to the nitty gritty. But there are things that help you see when things have become unhealthy when you're depending on someone else or
Hmm.
something else outside of yourself in order to make you feel okay about you. And that's basically it. You looking for something else to make you feel okay about you. And when you don't have that something else, you feel less than.
Yeah. And I think one of the signs is like an anxiety, right? Like if
Right.
you are away from that person for
Person.
even if it's only for maybe an hour, 2 hours, and in the back of your mind, you're like, I got to get home to that person, right? Like
Mhm.
it's almost like that just that short-term separation creates this anxiety because it's almost like you feel like you don't know, you're like debilitated without them.
Right. Without them.
That is an unhealthy form of codependency.
Right. Right. And that's it. Or I used to say too, I use the word suffocating,
Hmm.
right? The person they didn't do nothing but go to the mailbox and you hyperventilating.
Like, why did you
It,
go? Why did you leave? And
yeah,
it's like,
yeah,
no.
yeah. And it's
Like,
like, and then you become so like you said, anxiety ridden, your stress level up here, you have sickness. Codependency causes a sickness,
hmm.
invisible sickness. And that invisible sickness comes outwardly. We start
Hmm.
having headaches, we start having body aches, everything starts to hurt us.
Hmm. Physical
You know,
symptoms.
physical symptoms. They start to hurt us. And then we go in the doctors to try and get them to fix something that all we have to do is get ourselves together, get our mental right, get your
Hmm.
mind right, as they say. Because once you realize that person, what you're doing is basically you're running the person away more than drawing them into you,
Exactly.
right? You're
Mhm.
running them away, and then instead of you trying to be all close and intertwined, here you are, we're losing ourselves. And the long term is that sometimes we lose others because of all of these different addictions that we have.
Yeah. And it's very hard to move forward with your own dreams, your own goals, the things that you want for your life you put all of that aside for the sake of that other person. So
Person.
you can't thrive forward if you're in a highly unhealthy codependent connection. And it doesn't have to be romantic relationship.
Right. Don't have to be romantic.
It can be a family member, it could be a friend, but if you have that, you know, if I put myself first and that guilt,
Of putting yourself first. Yeah.
right, because that person needs me. And the thing is to be aware
And
of too.
sometimes does that person really need you?
No.
That's the sickness, that's the sickness in our head. This person don't even need us. They're gonna be fine without us. But for some reason we've made it. People are saying, oh, codependency verges on narcissism. No, it doesn't. No, it
Mm-mm.
doesn't. It's two totally different things.
Mm-hmm.
We've just we like I said, our heart. We didn't put our heart into this.
Mm-hmm.
And our heart then went into it so much that we're not thinking clearly. We're
Mm-hmm.
not operating clearly. And that's because we've let our mental health go unchecked. So we have
Yes.
this imbalance
Yeah.
of reality and
Mm-hmm.
non-reality
Yeah.
almost. And that's
Yeah.
how deep it gets sometimes. Some
Yeah.
people it's not that deep, but it can get that deep
Oh, yes.
where you have a disconnect between what is real, what is needed, and what is not needed, you
Yeah.
know?
And you end up pushing other people away
The
from
people.
you,
Mm-hmm.
and your circle starts to get a little bit smaller and more isolated. And like you said, it's not necessarily narcissism, it's just that codependency key factor where, you know what I mean? It's almost like this is just my
Mm-hmm.
experience from my own personal struggles with codependency is like you said, you feel like that person needs you, right? That you are the only person that can do it. You're the only person that can be there for them. You're the only person, you know, and you make your it's so the to the point where you feel like you have to drop everything for that person and you put everybody else aside, including yourself, and you're there for that person. But the one thing that you don't realize is that if you're out of the picture, they will find somebody else to be that.
Somebody else.
That
Yes.
somebody else is going to come in and take over your role, and you're it just it can be hurtful to you too when you realize that like, oh my God, like I thought I was their everything, right? Like, and your heart is so invested,
Yeah.
I mean, and it's addictive to be in
It's
that
very addictive.
situation.
It's very
It's
addictive.
addictive to be
Yes.
in that role,
Yeah.
you know.
And so we sometimes we have to, first of all, we have to acknowledge it with
Hmm.
any addiction. You have to acknowledge it. Then we have to step back and we have to give ourselves permission to start all over again sometimes.
Yeah.
Not just I'm not talking about material or starting all over, not even mental, but we have to go back as far in our mind that we can to see where did this start?
Hmm.
What triggered this? Because when did I stop thriving? I love She Thrives. When did I stop thriving and being there supportive of me? And a lot of times people like, even with this self-care journey, it's okay to be selfish. I tell people it's okay to be selfish because when you're selfish with yourself, that is a protection,
Hmm.
right? Sometimes we have to protect ourselves from our own self, if that makes sense.
It
Right.
100% does. And I feel like I said, just for my, and I'm going to only speak for myself here with my own, issues with the codependency in the past is that guilt of
Guilt.
being selfish. There's
Hmm.
guilt for I have to take care of myself. And one of the things I had to do to break free from the codependency was I had to cut ties with people or, you know, break, even if it was just temporarily, just break away from that person to be able to allow myself to be a little
Yes.
selfish and do my own focus on my own healing and my own growth.
Right.
Because for a long time, I was not thriving. Even in my early 30s, I'd say I didn't start thriving until, let's see, I'm 41, I'll be 42 coming up in like a week and a half. So 42, I'd say probably around 35, 36 was when I really
Mhm.
started to thrive
That's
because I,
good. Because guess what? You made it. You making it to the other side of where you were.
Hmm.
Because that being in a position where we don't thrive, that means that we haven't come to the realization of how important we are.
Yeah.
So once we start thriving, we know that we are important, we know that we're worthy, and we don't need the outside validation of thinking somebody else needs to tell us, oh yeah, I'm their caregiver. Oh yeah, I'm their best friend. Oh yeah, I'm their lover. Oh yeah, I'm their partner. When all we have to do is be us authentically 100%, and anything that's supposed to be in our circle will be there. Anything that was not supposed to be in our circle will fall off.
Hmm.
And in the process of that falling off and becoming the better version of who we are, right,
Hmm.
we learn that it's okay to take care of ourselves. It's okay to be selfish and also experience selflessness. Because I thrive on it. I'm selfish with me because I have to be. But I'm
Hmm.
also selfless in nature because I do go out and I do get involved in community and I do help people. I just had to have boundaries and limitations so that everybody can experience the possibility. Not just me, but whoever is in my circle. I want all of us to be healthy. It's not just about me, it's about everybody.
Yeah. And I think that if I'm not being a little selfish and taking care of myself, I'm going to run my cup empty. And you
That's right.
cannot pour into other people from an empty cup. So if you're
Empty cup.
trying to
Mhm.
pour, you know, good energy to pour yourself into being of service, giving other people, what they need to flourish. If my cup's empty, I can't fill yours. I
Right.
can't be that person for you if I'm not taking care of myself. So those boundaries are huge.
Yes.
And learning how to set healthy boundaries. I mean, if boundaries don't have to be like so hard that it's hurtful. Some people don't understand boundaries. I think sometimes they think that the word boundary is bad, but it's not. There's nothing wrong with setting a boundary that says, I just need to take an hour to myself today. I can't be available to you today. I need to take 5 minutes from this conversation to allow myself to calm down. You know what I mean?
Right.
If depending on the situation, there's that it's healthy and it's okay. There's no shame in that. It's a huge part of self-love and in knowing your self-worth to be able to do that.
Right. And it's important. It's important. It's
It
important. It's
is.
important that we understand that. And the people that don't understand it and don't get that we have to set boundaries, we have to put a cutoff point on some things. Those are the people who have, I use this term all the time, they have not arrived.
Hmm.
Because when you arrive at a certain level, you understand that people need their personal space and time.
Hmm.
It's nothing that you did.
Hmm.
It's just that we need that. I tell people in a minute, exit stage left. I do good mornings where I do all this motivation and encouragement. I When I learned to exit stage left was in 2011 when I wrote my first book. I had to. I had
Hmm.
to. It was so many things that were holding me back. And the main person that was holding me back was me. Me. I'm her. I was her. And sometimes that is the coattail that need to be pulled. So I pull my coattails. I don't want girlfriends around me. I don't want people around me who not gonna pull my coattail. If you see Butterflyy going in the wrong direction or you see me doing something, pull my coattail. Help me remember who I am and where I need to be versus who I am and where I used to be.
Hmm.
Because I don't want to go back to where I used to be. I don't want to ever be that girl again. I don't ever want to be
True.
that girl again that can't open her mouth and express herself assertively, in a positive way, and people accept it or reject it, but I'm still going to say it.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
begin to live when I begin to speak. I believe that I'm going to say it till my head run cold. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about how there was a time in my life where I literally would become like debilitated by like fear and anxiety just by, I better not say that. I better not do that. I'm going to make somebody mad. I'm going to, you know what I mean? Like, and I would like cower into like this little ball where it would be like there, I would have so much I wanted to say, but I'd be too afraid of who it might hurt or who it might offend or and I found ways to be able to put things into term to be able to speak my truth without being hurtful or diminished because I
Right,
tried to just keep it focused on my experience and mine only. And but now I'm at this point where I'm starting to just not, how do I say this? I don't want to be held back anymore, right? Like I want to be able to say what I'm going to say. I have something that needs to be said. I have something that needs to be heard. Somebody else out there needs to hear it. So I'm going to say it. And I think there's something very liberating about being in this space where it's just like you almost just, I don't want to say you don't care, but I guess it's the best way to term it. Like, you know what I mean? Like you just feel you just feel empowered to be able to just be real.
right.
And, you know, some people are not going to like what you have to say. Some people are not
Yes.
going to agree with you. Some people are going to be offended. We live in a world where everybody gets offended very easily.
Hmm.
And it's like I don't think that people should, you know, feel afraid to express their opinions or how they feel or express their truth because it might be offensive.
Right.
I don't know
And
if
you
that,
shouldn't be, it makes plenty sense. You shouldn't be afraid. I think it was last Wednesday when I talked about that on my morning motivation. What I teach and how I teach is this. Some things that I say will offend, the same thing you just said, but I'm not saying it, I'm not going to say it in an offensive way.
yes.
That way, people may not, like I said before, the messenger, they might not like Butterflyy the messenger. They might look like Lori the messenger because I'm raw, right? I'm going to say it. And I'm not going to say it always in a nice way, but I'm going to say it in a dignified way.
Yes.
You gonna get this, you're going to get this work. You're going to get this word and then you do what you need to do with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not trying to be offensive, but I'm going to offend some people. We're going to offend some people with how we are and what we do. We offend some people but I got a Southern drawl. Some people can't stand to hear me talk. And other people be like, say baby for me. I'm a New Orleans girl. Some people want me to talk this Creole talk. Other people be like, oh, I don't like the way she talk. Then you could be offended by that.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's like you said, spiritual connection. It I'm a plant the seed, right? On the weekend I did a children's event. I'm a plant the seed. I might not be the one that's supposed to water it, right? But I'm a plant it. Somebody
Yes.
else might water it, somebody else might see it grow. It's a process, right? It's a
Yes.
process. I don't have to hold on to the seeding. Once I've seeded it, I put it in the ground, I put the soil on top of I'm supposed to pass it on. And that's apropos for my class because on the 8 week of my class, which is an 8 week class, I could do it in 4 weeks. The
Mm-hmm.
last part of it is called pass it on. I've given you everything you need. I've supplied everything you need. Now I need you to take this and go on and put it out there and put it out there and put it out there until you see the results that you want. And those results are the healthy results that you can live with forever.
Yeah.
At least the rest of our lifetime anyway. We ain't gonna be here forever. But it's a process, Lori. It's a process. It's a process. It's a process. Just like me meeting you, like you said, we met each other in the 5 day challenge room. Uh, they some people would say there are no coincidences, you know. So we met there, and been supportive of each other, on social media as best we can whenever we see something. I know when you see something because you didn't show that you've seen it, and vice versa with you. And that's what I want to do. I want to continue to build my network. That's why I say I am Ellen Butterfly, Ellen, the 10-time published author, writer, playwright, mentor, and I'm for hire. Because I want to
Hmm.
get out and I want to get into circles where women are thriving as yourself and as I am. That's my goal
Yes.
for 2025.
Yes. I love it.
Yeah,
I
that's my
love
goal.
it. Well, I'd have to say this conversation we could sit here and go back and forth with this conversation all day
All
long.
day.
So,
Yes.
so we are going to have you come back so that we can
Mhm.
have more conversation, more enlightenment, more support. You know what I mean? Like you said, this is a
Right.
sisterhood. And
Yes.
we need to have this. And since you and I have connected, I mean, you've been showing up on my podcast, giving support, showing love. I mean, I don't always see everything on social media, and I actually wrote down the name of your podcast so that I can catch, I want to be able to listen to it because you are a fascinating person, an
I don't know
amazing
if you want to
woman.
listen to my podcast because it is called Life and BS, and I'm just straightforward with it.
See,
I
that's
don't
what
know no
I
other
like.
way to be. I don't know no other way to be because when we as they say, when you sugarcoat something, even man, look, yeah, that's a different story for a different day. But yeah, sugarcoating stuff ain't gonna get us nowhere.
No, it's not. No, it's
Nowhere.
not. And, you get to a point, I think, when you're somebody who sugarcoats things a lot, and you get to a point where, you've been playing it nice, like gentle for so long, you get to a point where it's like I want to be more like, you know what I mean? Just say it how it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And because we need that. I think
Yes.
I am more drawn to people who say it like it is.
Yes.
Like you said, like, you know what I mean? Like no bullshit.
Yeah.
Just
No, none
be
of it.
real. Like
None of it.
I'm drawn to people like that.
That. Mm-hmm.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Those powerhouses of strength.
Yeah.
Because the people that are able to say it how it is with no BS, no bullshit, and just be real, those are the
Yeah.
people that are always going to be honest with you. Those are the people,
Even when the honesty hurts.
yes, because we need that to be able to thrive and move forward. Because if we are constantly co-signing people's bullshit, how are they going to know how to grow and thrive if they're not aware of what they're doing may be harmful to themselves?
Right.
You know,
Right.
like I'm grateful for the people, like, especially when I was first getting sober, I had a lot of bullshit, right? Like, people did not,
Mm.
I had people that did not co-sign it, and they were just like, no, this is where you're wrong here. Like,
You're wrong. That's right.
what you're doing is wrong. What you're doing is harmful. What you're doing is unhealthy, and they weren't beating me down, but they were in a very loving way, just like my first sponsor, very matter of fact, very, tough love. And that's what I needed.
Right. You needed that accountability. You had to have when we come in through any kind of addiction, we need that up in your face mentality, especially from people who know us and people who want to see us make it right.
Hmm.
Because we already living it wrong. We did it wrong. We did it wrong all this time. Now you want me to come here and be pacify you to keep doing it wrong. No, we're gonna do it, we're gonna make it right. And I'm
Hmm.
gonna help you make it right.
Hmm.
I'm not if I can't help you make it right, what I'm here for.
Yeah.
So
And the
I
thing is,
understood your sponsor.
and I want to see you thrive. I want to see you
I
grow.
see
I
you
want you
thrive.
to live to your
Yeah.
fullest potential. And by doing that, I'm going to tell you, we need to fix it. We need to make this right,
Yeah, make it right.
you know? And that's I think what makes a good coach, that makes a good friend, that makes a good partner. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
that is where support lies deep, because you have somebody who's going to be honest with you and
Honest.
encourage you to do
Yes.
better.
Right.
I
Yes.
love it.
Yes.
So, Butterfly, how can people find you if they want to be able to reach out and connect with you?
They can find me on social media. I'm Ellen Butterfly Ellen on Facebook. Um, and when you post this video, put my phone number. My phone number is everywhere. It don't matter. I want people to be able to connect with me. Because if they call with the BS, I got something for them. So yeah, your people have people calling, playing on the phone. But I'm in a business world, and so my phone number is never private. You can share my email address, which is butterflythebookbaby@gmail.com.
Hmm.
And yeah, I can help work with anybody, with words, with books, with journaling, with finding your voice. So, and I so appreciate you, Lori.
I
It took us a
appreciate
while to
you.
get here. It took us a while to get here, but we here now.
Yes, we are. And I appreciate you being so patient and understanding because last month I was wasn't feeling the greatest and kind of going through a little bit of like a roller coaster, but you know, that love, support, and patience, you know what I mean? It took a little bit of time, but I'm so grateful that we got here. And I will put
Thank
all
you.
of your information in the description. And if anybody out there, is listening and they want to connect with me as well, you can find me on Facebook under Lori A. Murphy, Empowerment Coach for Women, or you can email me at M as in Michael C empowerment@gmail.com. Thank you so much for listening. And thank you so much, Ellen, for taking the time to be with us today.
Yes.
Well,
Okay. See you later, She Thrives.
bye.
Bye.